Sipple the snowflake is one old triggered soul with reading glasses sitting on his nose and takes that really blow. Sipple the snowflake deserves a mouthpiece to the face. He says LeBron's the GOAT and Steph will choke. Then he runs to his safe space.
Hey, we gotta be careful here.
He tells us when we speak. But when 10 games air in a day, he thinks that's too many. Oh, Sipple the snowflake says words like mature. He's a blogger now and an honor too, and also really old.
And he joins us right now on the 42 Degrees The Source Hotline. His name is Steve Sipple. Hello, Sip.
Can you hear me all right?
We got you great. Do you hear us?
Yeah.
What do you hear? What do you hear, Sipple?
I hear two young lads doing radio in the, I don't know, what do you call that area? Omaha, Dundee.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. If I told you, Sipple, that we weren't in Dundee, where do you think we are right now?
Oh, God, do not tell me you're in Las Vegas.
Oh, Sipple, we are indeed. We're in Vegas. We're back, baby.
God. I don't.
Hi, Sip. I'm here, too.
What's that?
Nick is also in Vegas with us. They allowed him to come, too.
Oh, my God. I'm not big on surprises, but I like this one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I really am. You know how envious I am right now. You know it.
Yeah, but you get to go to Iowa City on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah. That's about as depressing as you can imagine.
Yeah, but you're always such a fan, Sipple, of places that are desolate and have nobody near. Yeah. Las Vegas is not the place for you. There's too many people everywhere.
There's a lot of like-minded people in Vegas, like, if you just think about it.
I went on a run today, Sipple, and I could confirm that there are a lot of people that would say I like the cut of Sipple's gym.
And those places I talk about, how many of them are cold weather? They're always warm weather. El Paso, Shreveport,
and Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh wow! So you guys, are you having? Stupid question, but I'm going to do it anyway. Are you having fun?
We're having a great time. We got here on Sunday morning, and so we spent basically 10 hours sitting in the sports book watching NFL football.
Yeah, both of you are married, but the question is, are you still married at this point?
Oh, yeah. Doing a great job at being married.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to bring home some more bread, if you know what I mean.
All right, we'll do that.
Yep, working on it. Working on it.
We will. Sip, first time we've had a chance to talk to you since Saturday's performance versus Wisconsin. Like, I know this is always such a weird week because it feels so short, and so we have to turn our attention to Iowa. But I did not want to begin the interview without having a chance to ask you about what you saw, and I guess just how surprising it was. I think you and I were in agreement on the Holgorsen move, that they needed a spark. I'm wondering if you're like me, that as bullish as you were, you didn't see 44 points coming against a Power 4 team that had owned the program for a decade.
No, no, I did not see 44. If you would have predicted 44, I don't even know what I'd say. You're just going out of your way to be different. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Who did? I mean, that's the highest point total in rules seasons here, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's the most points. Well, when is the last time they scored 44?
Against a power program? It's been a long time, man. It's been a while.
They scored 56 one time.
It's Northwestern. Yep. Good call. 2021.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was very surprised. I'm just surprised at the level of execution at times. I know that sounds terrible, but, I mean, there's been a lot of times where, if you think about it, I'm not really being unfair, where they would go, 3 out of every 5 plays. You just kind of saw noticeable instances of a lack of execution. And now here they were executing at a pretty high level, I thought. And the two big things were Emmett Johnson. His legs look really live, which that's the part of that discussion that's really interesting to me. I guess it's a nod to the fact he hasn't played a ton. And you know what? When we do this thing, and I do it too, we question whether they should use this committee. This is where it will pay off, and if Nebraska happens to be going well, like, if they happen to be like a team knocking on the playoff door and you're using the committee, in that case, it'd be a good thing because your running backs are fresher late when the games really, really get important. But Emmett looked really good, and I thought Dylan Rayola looked really good, and second straight game. You can't leave out the fact that the offensive line, particularly in pass pro, was strong. I thought they were okay-ish in the run blocking part. Good. I mean, they were good, but exceptional pass blocking.
Sipple, I love how you bluntly asked the question to Rule yesterday, like, hey, yeah, all these things are happening. It's very obvious that all these things are happening, but why? What is the difference? And Rule talked about execution and some of the small tweaks that Dana Holgorsen has made. To your eye, Sipple, what's different from 2 weeks ago to now with Nebraska's offense?
I mean, the ball coming out quicker. I think that has to be mentioned because they've emphasized it, and it has. Dylan looks more comfortable. Dylan got healthy too, as Rule pointed out, and I kind of played that down against USC, where because his dad was really playing it down. Dominic was really playing it down, the injury part, but I think he was a little banged up. And then just some of the things they're doing that they're changes. You've seen two backs. You didn't see it much against USC, but you saw at least 5 instances of two backs in this game. The way they used Corey, I mean, a little slants and mesh routes, a little different concepts. Those things are important. Just the way he frees up people, but also something he mentioned today is important. He's simplified it. Big playbook. I mean, Rule's got a big playbook accumulated over years, and those guys, those veteran coaches that he has, have accumulated things. And those guys from that Kyle Mummy, Mike Leach tree, Leach didn't have a playbook. So as you guys know,
he had that tiny piece of paper.
Yeah, and all he did was put dots on that to show him where the ball's been going. He held a note card on the sideline. Moose told me one time that all that was just dot. It was a form of a football field, and he would it's fascinating. He just put a dot where the ball went, so he wasn't going to that side of the field too often, just to balance it out. So anyway, he simplified it. He talked about that today. Holgorsen talked about that, where, for instance, he wondered why they would move receivers between those positions, X, Y, Z, whatever the hell they call them. And you just have a guy at one spot so he doesn't have to think. Let the coach have to do the thinking. So all stuff that makes sense to us as laymen, right?
Yep.
And this is where you guys are in this conversation. Give yourselves credit. You watch a ton of football. Sometimes I think we think we don't know. There's a lot of stuff you do know. I mean, and if you listen to these coaches, it becomes kind of clear.
Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com, joining us right now on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. Sip, I mean, one of the big questions I think Husker fans are wondering about, Apper and I did the post-game show on Saturday, and we got it a lot. I'm sure you're getting it a lot, is like, okay, but is he going to be back next year? There was a question that he got today about it again, and he was very non-committal. Do you have any read on this? Can anyone have a read on this situation right now, given we still don't know what jobs will and won't be open, and I guess what Holgorsen does or doesn't want in terms of a job moving forward?
I think you'd have to be pretty close to Holgorsen to have a good read on it. Non-committal is a good word. I mean, I asked just to be clear, are you going to be calling plays in the bowl game? I mean, that's how indefinite it all seemed to me. Purposeful, probably. I don't know. It's not like he needs leverage for money because he's still he's getting paid. He's gonna, he's making 4.5, and he'll make upwards of 4 because of the Houston contract. So it's not like a big leverage play from a money standpoint, I don't think. But I don't think he wants to tip his hand too much because he could still be a head coach somewhere. He's viable in my opinion. I mean, he had 3 losing seasons at Houston, but now that you see him, just put yourself in the shoes of an AD who's just looking on to what he's doing here and how he comports himself and how he dug in and how quickly it got better. Doesn't that make an impression? He's at the podium and he's very forceful and he's very charismatic, but he's also deferential to the head coach, so he plays politics pretty well. All very indicative of a guy who's been a head coach for 13 years at 2 power programs. Houston, I'll say, is a power program now. So I mean, if I was his agent, I'd say keep your powder dry. I mean, come on. If you're Arkansas, when you look at Holgerson,
I made that point earlier, Sipple. Same exact thing. If you have an offense that isn't scoring right now, you would probably look at that guy. However, there's one caveat in there that definitely keeps him attached to Nebraska. Nebraska has Dylan Raiola, and that doesn't alone keep him here, but it's something that Nebraska has that other teams around the country with maybe more resources or whatever don't have.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that does help. I've got the sense that but again, I think I'm just going with non-committal. He was non-committal. I've heard nothing at all, and it's not like I don't. I try to check with people. I've heard nothing that suggests he's locked in there. Nothing from anybody. So I'm keeping an open mind, and that's what I believe that Holgerson do. So I think everybody keep an open mind on this.
What's your read on Tony White beyond Friday?
I don't know. I'd like to think he'd be here, but I mean, who knows? He's going to get. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, these guys. He's not, attached to Nebraska in any way. 1 year, 2 years, I guess, 2 years here, but if there's a better opportunity, I keep an open mind on that too.
Steve Sipple's with us from HuskerOnline.com. How much momentum, if you believe in that sort of thing, does Nebraska gain? I mean, it's involved with these conversations that we're having too, as far as coordinators or coaching staff and all that stuff. Nebraska has a similar performance to what they did this past weekend on Friday against Iowa, and then maybe even in the bowl game as well, although there's some overlap with the portal and all that stuff in there. Like, what can they do for themselves on Friday to make this program even more attractive to onlookers as December goes on?
Oh, I mean, I think it'll be big. A win against Iowa would be gigantic. I mean, because now you're in a good bowl, you can sell that. Maybe it would make the job more attractive to Holgerson. I mean, the job could become more attractive to Holgerson if he knows he can get a couple more guys here to enhance the offense. And then just the fan momentum, just the feeling, the positive feeling it would generate in that streak against Wisconsin, 10 game losing skid, and then beat another nemesis. Oh God, it'd be big. I mean, it'd be huge. I almost don't allow myself to think about it. I mean, Nebraska's been such a disappointment in these games for so long. But there's a real chance. I don't know why that line's 6. It doesn't matter that much, but it's odd. There's a real chance, and the matchup's good. And if they do pull it off, they're going to go to Tampa and they're going to have 15 practices, and everything's going to feel a lot better than it did a week ago.
Sip, along those lines, there has been a debate within the fan base, and I know John and I had it a lot as Nebraska got to 5 wins this year, of like, if they get to 6, whenever it happens, they will play looser then finally because they won't have that hanging over them. Sadly, there will only be one game where we can really test that theory. Are you a believer in that? And if so, what would that mean for Friday night?
Yeah, I'm not. Josh, Connor, you guys know me well enough, and I've talked to you so much over the years. I hate the psychology discussions. I do. I get tired of the, how do you feel? Are you hungry? I like what Rule's been saying recently, which is just do your job, be in the A gap when you're supposed to be, run the proper route, catch the ball. Is there momentum? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, like do they, because they finally locked up a bowl berth and they don't have to worry about it?
Well, they play freer. Yeah, as much as I hate the conversation, yeah, I think it applies. I have to think it applies. It's just I think the trick, Josh, is not to let it go too far to the sort of relaxed team. And that's where the head coach has got to come in. He's got to understand the vibe of his team. That would be my concern about the conversation if I were Rule. Is, yeah, you can play freer now. You can't. There's just a big weight off everybody's back. But don't let it go. Don't let that go too far.
Yeah.
You want to be uncomfortable most of the time. I just think that's everybody. That applies to everybody. I always get nervous if I feel too comfortable. And I think that's the way they got to play. And almost like they're still scratching for this. So, but there is an element of that I think that applies to this. I do. They should. The pressure is a funny thing. It's tricky. And I've always told you guys too, football's tricky that way. These discussions are tricky because not everybody feels the same way. There's so many people involved, So I don't know. It's hard to. I don't. Dylan, I don't. The one thing I'd add is I don't think Dylan's ever different. I think he's always the same.
Yeah.
But there are probably some guys that'll benefit from this.
Sipple, I wholeheartedly agree with you on the I hate talking about mentalities and stuff like that. But it's been our life around here for a long time. What are they going to be like? What are we going to get when they play a game? And there's just no knowing. So let me ask you this: with the addition of Dana Holgorsen and the approach that he has brought to the table, and you talked about Rule talking about, hey, just make it about the football. Is this a time in which Nebraska maybe cares about feelings less than any time in the last few years here? Like, it feels like that's the direction it's pointed here, where Dana Holgorsen comes in and he just says, yeah, I don't really, you're number 18. Go out and block the guy. It's less touchy-feely, and it's more just, hey, get the job done.
Well, it is, but it's mostly just because he hasn't been here and he hasn't formed any relationships, right? I mean, it's easy. He has an advantage in that regard. He has a lot of disadvantages in this situation. Holgorsen has a lot of disadvantages in this situation he got into, but a lot of disadvantages, obviously. We'll talk about them today, but that is an advantage. Like, you can spin that as an advantage in that he can make these moves without – he just doesn't have any attachment to this guy. He didn't recruit Thomas Fedone. He didn't know him. So it's easier. It's easier. It would be easier to make those sort of chess piece moves, and you're just moving a figurine on a board. It's not someone you know, or you know his uncle, or you know his mom or dad. It's just a guy. No, you don't want to take that too far. You talked today, Dana's learning names. I mean, he called him Luke Lindenmeyer, and he called those tight ends by their first names. It was just kind of notable to me. So, and he's now calling the assistants by their name. That's all notable, because I think when you come in, think about it, put yourself in those shoes. How would you know everybody's name? God, you just have to trying to learn all the plays and all the how you call plays and all the new vernacular, and then by the way, I don't even know these names. So God bless him. That's why he's working 16 hours a day.
Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com. Sip, thanks as always for joining us, man. Hope you have a awesome Thanksgiving and a safe trip to Eastern Iowa for the game on Friday.
When are you coming back, guys?
Thursday morning.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to Colorado for a family Thanksgiving on my dad's side, so I'll be back in Omaha on Saturday.
Well, you got a lot more energy than I do. All right. Have fun. Stay out of trouble. If you get in trouble, you can call me.
Bye, Dad. Love you.
Bye, Sipple.
Love you too. Bye.